Hello. Mm, One of my favorite things to do for my altar space is finding living things that are from the area that I live in. And in this area of Central Oregon, there's a lot of juniper. You can see it right out this window. I have multiple trees on the property of my home. And I love burning some of the more like familiar plants that you see for cleansing and clearing space, like white sage and palo santo. I love these as well, but I really enjoy this kind of like locally sourced material as a way to um, feel more ecologically sustainable and connected to the landscape that is the place that I live. And so I'm going to dip this. I usually light a candle and then I dip my little dried out juniper sprig into the flame of the candle. And this juniper is really fragrant. I really enjoy it. So I'm going to do that. I just lit this candle. Well, you can kind of see me here. And over to this side. So I've got this thing and it burns really well. There's something about the familiarity of this plant. Having been in Central Oregon for such a long time, I've been here I'm 46, and with the exception of 12 years from 18-ish to 30-ish, not being in Central Oregon, all the other years of my life, I've lived in this part of the world. And there's something really grounding about this particular smell because I've smelled it for whatever that is, 46 minus 12 for 34 years of my life. So um, I love doing that as a way to kind of bring myself into a bit of a more present and grounded space. So I usually do that before I start these shows. And interestingly, as I'm speaking about this environmentally sourced, like local sourced rhythm that is important to me, I'm also thinking about the article that I published yesterday on my Substack, and that is an ongoing theme in the process of development as a human, which is to source this feeling of safety within our own physiology, within our own nervous system, within our somatic mind, within our body mind. And what does that mean? And how do we do that? And what is the process of that? And what does it feel like? And how do you know it's there? Mm, there's so many things that just came through, inquiries right there. So I had a circle here a few nights ago. I have an ongoing circle that I co-facilitate with another woman. It's called Conversations on Connection. And the themes range. The last two we've been talking about polarity and feminine and masculine energies, which I could say a lot about. I don't like necessarily talking about things as binaries because I think it can create, even though we say, hey, these things aren't specific to gender, somehow they create this like very um, binary, which in a lot of ways creates like separation and fragmentation. So it's interesting to think about them. I like to think of all things as like on a spectrum. So if we kind of think of like these energies existing on a spectrum, anyway, I don't want to go down that path, but we had this beautiful circle. There were 11 of us here, 3 men and 8 women. And the topic came up of what is integration? What is embodiment? What does that actually mean? And the way that I described it and describe it is this. So many of us have not been modeled a healthy way of experiencing our bodies. I'll call it a felt sense experience. So felt sense can include any feeling, just like any feeling in the body. And that can come from something that we're aware of or not aware of consciously, why that's happening. But it's any feeling, actual sensation feeling in the body. This can be tightness. It can be okay. So I'll try to say the word that's like inclusive of whatever range of experiences. So temperature, hot, cold, or anything in between. Um, Density. Is it like mushy or is it dense? Movement. Is it static or is it moving? It might be like sizzly, it might be bubbly, it might be tickly, it might be kind of shimmery. All of these things that describe density, which I'm also kind of speaking now also to texture. Um, Shape. Does it feel like it's like flat like a plate with kind of a thinner thickness to it, like a piece of paper or a plate, or does it feel more like a ball, maybe spherical or maybe square and with rigid edges or um, rectilinear kind of edges? Does that thing, maybe it's amorphous, maybe it doesn't have a particular shape. I know I'm missing some um, on the fly right now speaking to all this, but essentially you're kind of getting what I mean. Oh, location, huge. Location. Where is it in the body? Is it up here in your chest? Is it in your belly? Is it moving from up here to down here? Um, all of these things are describing our felt sense experience, and these things can be connected to an emotion. They can be connected to a thought. They can be connected to our recalling of a memory. Um, or the body's experience. There's the body's way of communicating to us something that's happening within it. So many of us have not been modeled and therefore practiced on what it is to relate to our body's experience. We are so often up here in our like I'm doing right now, thinking, talking, processing through our head, through our thinking mind, which is phenomenal. We all have this rad brain that's got so many. I mean, the capacity of it is beyond, I think, still what we really understand. And much of our focus and awareness of identity and self is related to our our thinking mind, our cortical brain, our neocortex. But the body, the wholeness of our body is alive and conscious. And so there's this movement happening right now. We hear the word embodiment often. We hear the word integration. I hear integration often after someone has had a medicine journey. I like to think of integration as like anything that we're processing at any point in our day or at any point in life, if it's creating a familiarity and a closeness and a deeper intimacy with self. To me, that's integration, which is also when we're doing it with a connection to the body, it's also embodiment. So getting into the body isn't just like, oh, I'm going out dancing or, oh, I'm going on a run. Great, those are beautiful things. And are they creating a deeper sense of familiarity with the deeper, perhaps unvisited parts of who you are? That's embodiment. Embodiment is the practice of going into the body to actually open up to oneself, to get to know oneself more deeply. Meaning, there's this part of all of us, these subconscious patterns, these subconscious mm, uh, thinking, thought patterns, belief systems, um, protective strategies, uh, adaptations for attachment, um, that are all orchestrating this more peripheral expression of ourselves at all times. So the numbers that I've heard is like 90 to 95% of our decision making at all times is coming from the subconscious. So part of what embodiment means to me, actually, should say not part. What embodiment means to me is like we have this felt sense experience. we we become curious about it. So and then that leads to a deeper awareness of, oh my gosh, what is that piece of information that's informing why I'm having this experience? What is that piece of information that is creating meaning about my experience? Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. So the first stage is like recognizing that we have either been super shut down, which a lot of us have in the Western world, super shut down. I've had my own experiences with this opening to my own body's um, expressions, we'll say, or feeling experiences. So many of us have been modeled like this shut down way of being with ourselves. So an avoidance, a closed offness, a numbness, a frozenness, and I'm not going to go into the why of all of these things are occurring because that's like hours of conversation. But we're just going to talk about how the body is actually existing with itself. So this closed offness, that's one way. If you think about this on a spectrum, the other way is being overtaken by, flooded by emotional experiences, flooded by the body, the body's felt sense experience. So first it's like waking up to becoming aware of that we might be completely shut off or we might be overtaken or we might kind of move between those two things. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And noticing like, oh, I'm doing this thing because I am shut off and I want to stay shut off because shut off is familiar to me. Or I am doing this thing of feeling overtaken by this experience and I stay looped into the flooding of this experience. Simply becoming aware that this patterned, I'll call it emotional dysregulation, is a part of your human experience without judgment. I'm speaking this for you to hear from me, like this is without judgment, this is observation. So we notice that these ways that we exist in ourselves are present. That's step one, stage one. Stage two is just becoming more aware, simply noticing that we are having an experience. Oh my gosh, my chest is caved in and my shoulders are coming forward, and I feel this deep, dense, hot plate of pain in my upper chest, and it hurts. What I would say it hurts, like it feels painful. It feels like stuck. It feels um like it's unforgiving in its ability to relax and soften. Okay, this is an example like how we create more self-awareness. We're noticing our body's experience. This is stage two. Stage three is becoming curious. No, sorry, that's stage four. Stage three is being able to express. So we can become aware and then we can start to express these experiences, maybe just to ourselves, maybe to someone who we trust and love, maybe to a therapist, a coach, whomever. We begin to have the capacity to actually put language to what's happening in our body. And this is like, woo, for so many people right now. To me, this is in my observation of people I know, both personally and as clients in my professional work. Just this. Ooh, I just like could cry. Like I feel my whole body getting goosebumps right now. Just this is so phenomenal. It is so tremendous. It is so acknowledging to the body to simply say, oh my God, I feel you. I notice you and I feel you and I'm here with you as and because I'm actually pausing in 10 seconds of stillness, even to feel what my body is feeling. This is opening up of humanity where there has been so much shut down and so much disconnection. So this is a huge stage. All of these stages are massive, but that one feels really, really huge when we can begin to claim our body's experience. Okay, stage four. Stage four Oh God, I'm just going to keep crying. Stage 4 is becoming curious about why that feeling experience is happening in the body. Why am I feeling this tight, hot plate in my chest? What is, where is that coming from? Going under the layer of the experience to try to understand why it's happening. What is the meaning that I'm making of this? What is informing the meaning of this? The perception. Getting so curious. You can hear in all of these stages that I've described up to this point, all four of them, all four of them are a practice of responsibility to one's self, responsibility for one's experience. This has nothing to do with anyone. This has us to do with pausing and getting to know, like, what is happening here. It might connect to other people, absolutely, and often it does for a lot of us. And the process in and of itself inherently starts to call back agency and powerfulness and accountability through this process of getting curious, through this process of noticing this self-awareness, naming, expressing, and then beginning to get curious. All of these stages are inherently a way of deepening one's self-relationship. Okay, so fourth stage is the why, the curiosity, the inquiry. The fifth stage is what part of this experience that I'm having is mine. This is like in relationship, romantic relationship, family relationship, parent, child, whether it's your parent or your child, friendship, colleague. Um, this is a huge, huge, huge stage that can completely shift the way we are oriented in relationship to another person. And again, taking accountability for what part in our experience is ours. Okay, so really getting clear on what part of this thing, which is informed by getting more clear on the why from stage 4, and all of these things are all very like dynamic. It's not like we move methodically, sequentially through these things, although they can kind of show up like that. This is like an arc of development of emotional self-relationship or um, emotional development. And it can be beyond emotion, of course, because it's related to thinking and thought patterns and belief patterns and protection strategies and all of these things. But overarchingly, this kind of like arc of integration, arc of human integration, arc of human development, arc of human embodiment, like coming into one's wholeness. So stage 5 is what part of this experience is mine? Accountability, responsibility. This is stage 5. Step 6 is if you are in a relationship where this is having impact, where there's impact on both people, obviously, it pretty much always is. There's some kind of impact on both people, and what kind of relationship you might have or might want to have with a person who this connects to. If you desire to um, establish what I call a secure functioning relationship. And this can be romantic, it can be non-romantic, it doesn't matter. There's secure functioning friendship, there's secure functioning parent-sibling relationship, there's secure functioning uh, colleague, cohort, coworker relationship. Um, if the desire is to feel that there's a secure functioning capacity in the dynamic of relationship between you and another person, then this final stage is how do we work with this together as a team so that we can orient to success, so that we can be in this shared reality that is functional and successful. So for me, that's how I describe the process of integration with this human experience. And as we move through these things, and there's so much content that can get plugged into this arc, moving from a felt sense experience, becoming aware of it, noticing it happening, expressing it, getting curious about why it's happening. This is the part where a lot of integration is the curiosity, the inquiry, and the accountability and responsibility. These are the stages that I think a lot of people are just beginning to open up into. And those two are essential. They are non-negotiable stages of development in order to get to the final stage, which is the workability of relationship for secure functioning. You can't have the secure functioning without being able to do the why, the inquiry, and the responsibility and accountability. They're essential. And if there's an asymmetry in any of these spaces in the relationship, it can make it really challenging to get to that stage 6 because the capacity of the people might not be aligned and might not be reciprocal. And so it makes it challenging to get to that final stage together into that team space. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because I like to keep these like not tremendously long and I've already gone over 20 something minutes. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. I hope this was helpful. I'm realizing I knew there was something. I wanted to bring this back to my original statement about sourcing locally, sourcing safety in in our own body, embodied safety. This also we could describe as we become integrated, as we become more intimate with self, as we expand this familiarity with what is creating this experience here, this deepening of self relationship, self connection, self intimacy in a process of wholeness. This is how we generate self sourced safety. And then once the body feels this as a baseline of self orientation, then the energetics become the navigation system for yourself. And you feel what feels aligned through your body's self established safety. That's where I wanted to wrap this up. I knew there was one more little part. Okay. Thank you. I'm still smelling the waft of the juniper around me. It smells so good. Mm. Wishing all of us, if you're listening to this live or at another place, another point in time and space to begin perhaps to invite yourself into a little bit more curiosity, a little bit more presence, a little bit more wonder about what's happening in the body. And know that simply being able to put words to what your body's experiences, oh, I have this hot ball in my belly. Just that is so, so incredibly celebratory. And wherever you're at in any of these stages, I honor you and I see you and I'm grateful for you and you are loved and you matter and and I'm grateful for your presence here. Mm. Until next week. Ooh, I wanted to say, yes, next week I'm going to be traveling to Tulum for a retreat. So I don't know, may or may not have next week's show at my typical time. We'll see. I need to check out my logistics still. But either way, I will see you next time, whenever that might be, next Thursday or the Thursday after. Mwah. Thank you.